Okay, so in the last tutorial we discussed about the annotation from the Java, that is @resource, and give you a brief idea about the pre-construct and the post-destroy annotations. So what is this used for? This is also from Java package. Let's see it working. Like you can see in this manager class, I have used my init and destroy method. I told you that we have the three ways, like initializing bean, disposable bean, which can be used to run like after the bean is being initialized, like some bean post processors are being run in the bean life cycle. So, and we defined it the customized init and destroy method only also. So now if I want these two methods to be run, what I want to do is I want to, in my spring.xml, what I want is that along with the manager I write init method which is my init and destroy method destroy, right? So now this init and destroy will run. I guess we are not implementing any customized init and destroy. No, we have commented this initialization and disposable bean method, so only this customized will run. If I run it, okay, yes, you can see that initializing bean and destroy bean is called. So for this customized init and destroy, I need to define it in my spring.xml. If I don't want to do this and I want to do it using an annotation, then we have the another way. What's that? The output will be same. So it's just that you need to use the annotations on the top of your method. @post construct on my init method and @pre-destroy from the Java package only on my destroy method. So let's run it. Yes, let's save the resources. Yes, you're getting the same output. So these two annotations will help you to skip writing your init destroy method attributes in my bean. So this is about this annotation. Now let's move on to some another annotation from the Java, which is a very important annotation. So till now what we are doing is we registered this bean, right? Manager bean in my spring.xml, where we did it, like we did it over here, bean id manager and this property pin code, right? I don't want to do this also. I want to not even instantiate my bean in the spring.xml. Till now we have been doing this, but even if I don't want to do this, then I can do it, and I have an annotation for it which will instantiate my entire class as a bean in the Spring factory. And what annotation it is? @component. So for this, but yeah, let's just comment it out. Okay, I'm not doing it. I want that this entire class, yes, one property will remain left, that is pin code, so it will not be wired, right? But this the bean id equal to this and then clause, this will create an, this will instantiate the bean, right? So I can just use @component, so it will work for me, though I'll get the pin code as null. No bean name manager available. Why? Because now what actually the Spring factory is doing, I have tried to instantiate this bean in my spring.xml, but when I am doing it, this is an alternative to what? This is an alternative to bean id equal to manager and then class equal to this, right? This is an alternative to this, but and also when we are doing this, we need to tell the Spring Factory that along with finding the beans in my Spring container, you need to look for some other bean instantiation from my classes also. So for that, Spring should know something. So what we need to do is we need to write one line, that is context component scan. Let me write it over here only, though we have used the namespace. So what it does, it context component scan. Now Spring will get to know, okay, I need to look for the bean instantiation from my some class also, and here you need to write your package. So you will write term.tel comma dot employee, right? So now it will see, okay, this is marked with @component annotation, so it will instantiate that bean over in my container, and when I'm doing get, I'll get it. Yes, I am getting the same result. So this is the biggest advantage, that you don't even, though pin code is null, right, you don't even instantiate the bean. But the problem over here is, just like if you see in my spring.xml, the only constraint I have with this, I have multiple instances of the same class, that is of address class, address1, address2 and address3. But with @component, you can create only one instance of your bean in the Spring Factory. You cannot create the multiple instances of your bean. And these annotations, like these are called the stereotyped annotations. Like I told the Spring that along with the bean factory scanning for instantiation, you look for the code, go through the code and classes also, and it scan with the classes with @component annotations and instantiate it. But these annotations are called as stereotyped annotations. Because these are stereotyped, because there are some annotations in Java EE which are used to perform the standard thing, like @component is one of the stereotype annotation which is just used to instantiate my bean in the class. Then another stereotyped annotation which we have is, okay, post constructed pre-destroy, @component we used, right? Then we have @controller. This is another stereotype annotation, so you can write it over here, that this is called stereotype annotations. So just like @component was doing, so we have an @controller which is just used in the Spring MVC architecture to tell, hey, you need to scan this, and then use all the request handler methods from this controller class. Similarly, we have @service just to tell that these are not related to Spring. This is just, I'm telling about the general stereotype annotations. @service is there. This tell that this bean is just like my service and hold the business logic and then call the appropriate methods. Similarly, from data object, we have @repository. So these are all the stereotyped annotations, and we use the one that is in my Spring, which is for controller. We have @controller, right? So this is the stereotype annotation. We're using standard jobs, like this is for service, this is for data layer, and this is for controller. And the one which we use is @component, just to instantiate the bean in my bean factory. By telling the Spring Factory along with the Spring container, just go through your code and classes and then scan that base package and instantiate all the beans marked with @component annotation. And the only constraint was that we will have only one instance of this bean in my container and not the multiple instance. Otherwise it works exactly same. So that's all about the Spring annotations, which was a very important topic, and which we discussed about all the annotations, about the Spring specific, Java specific, and the stereotyped annotations. Okay.